Our channel is geared toward the automotive sector. And whether it's off-roading, overlanding, or bugging out because of a disaster or high altitude EMP, some type of black swan event, we need to think about ways to protect our mobility. And we have a lot of questions surrounding EMP devices, hence why we kind of wanted to pick your brain. Can you summarize what is a EMP and CME?
Sure, yeah, they're distinctly different things. Sometimes people get them mixed up. Let's talk about a CME first. That's a solar coronal mass ejection, which of course the sun is a big blob of gaseous energy, and it sometimes spits off solar flares, it emits solar flares or solar coronal mass ejections. And a coronal mass ejection is really just a big blob of plasma, which is a charged gas that comes off the sun, and they're huge, and so they flow through space, and most of the time they go in directions that don't affect us and they don't make any difference to us. But every once in a while they'll line up with the Earth and it'll wash over the Earth, if you want to think about it like that, and that can perturbate the Earth's magnetic field lines, and it can cause some problems for communications and other things like that. So a solar CME is a very natural phenomenon. They happen all the time. Only once in a while they're really powerful. Maybe every 150 years the Earth might see a really powerful one hit the Earth. The last one we saw was something called the Carrington event way back in the 1800s. Everybody uses that as kind of a reference of, oh my gosh, we better not have one of those today or we're in real trouble. But that's what a solar CME is it's this big ejection of plasma from the sun. An EMP, oh, go ahead if you had a question.
I was going to ask you, so have we seen anything that has happened recently that has caused that type of disruption, or have we not even experienced any type of CME that's really caused any chaos as of yet?
Yeah, we did have some. There are CMEs that hit the Earth, like there was an outage in Canada, northern U.S. A number of years back. I think it only lasted like 12 or 24 hours. It wasn't a big long-term thing, but it did show the effects of a CME. We have not had anything like a Carrington event hit the Earth since the 1800s. People worry about that because all the simulations show if that event hit the Earth today, you'd have widespread blackouts on most of the planet, and they could last for a very long time because the damage could be very substantial to some of the transformers that we use in power distribution. So the short answer is we've been pretty lucky, but like I said, it's about every 150 years they say you're due for one, and that was back in the 1860s, so we're a little past due for a big CME to hit the Earth. And the tricky part with CMEs is we know they're coming. They don't travel at the speed of light, unlike a solar flare. So we have satellites that monitor the sun, and we'll see a big blurb of plasma come off, and we'll go, oh, hey, there's a big thing, big CME coming your way. And then we'll radio ahead, and so we can get ahead of the CME and tell the Earth, hey, there's a big CME about to hit the Earth in the next 2 days. All right, it takes a couple of days. The problem is that nobody really knows what it's going to do to the Earth. It's very difficult, it's impossible to predict the effects of a CME, even a big CME. And so there's a lot of reluctance. Like a lot of people say, oh, well, if we see a big CME, we're okay because we'll just shut down the grid. And then, for the time that it comes over us, and then we'll bring back up the grid and we'll be okay. Well, there's a couple of problems with that. One is we don't know that CME is even going to be that big of a deal when it actually affects the Earth. We really don't know until, I was told, within about an hour of it happening. So it's kind of like real time. And then the other thing is, even bringing down the grid doesn't in any way guarantee that the grid is protected. It doesn't need energy in the grid distribution system to couple in that CME and cause damage to the transformers. So you'd have to throw disconnects where you're physically disconnected and isolating systems. And while some of that exists, it's not widespread, like we're prepared to disconnect major portions of the grid like that. So I don't even know that such a thing exists. Even if we wanted to protect the grid, there'd be limited things we could do. So anyway, that's the whole side of the CME, is that, yep, it's coming, guaranteed, almost guaranteed even in my lifetime, we're going to have a large CME hit the Earth. What it will do, we'll see. Nobody really knows. The other side's a very different thing. An EMP is not a natural phenomenon. It's hey, we're going to do some kind of a weapon, right? And the way they do it is they take a nuclear warhead up high into the atmosphere, hundreds of miles. They detonate it. That detonation essentially causes high energy release gamma rays that affect and perturbate. They ionize the air molecules, which just means they strip electrons off, and then those electrons spin around our magnetic field lines and they perturbate the magnetic field lines in a way that's kind of similar to a CME. So you can see there's some overlap, but in very different, distinct frequency regions. So an EMP has a very high frequency thing that perturbates the fields, and then kind of a moderate frequency range, and then a very slow low frequency effect, which the low frequency effect is very similar to a CME. Those two kind of correlate. But the EMP, unfortunately, also has this really high speed, nanosecond wide pulse, the electromagnetic pulse, and that pulse can couple into things that a CME could not. So it can couple into many more things besides the power grid. It can couple into your computers, your cell phones, your radios, any small scale electronics just about can be damaged by an EMP if it has solid state electronics in it. And so cars, planes, boats, satellites, all those things potentially could be damaged by an EMP.
Anything with conductive material inside of it.
Yeah, and the more modern the electronics, the smaller the gate size of the transistor, the more likely it is to be damaged. And so stuff that's old, in the 1970s, less likely to be damaged than, let's say, something built in 2024. But the short of it is anything with solid state electronics, computer chips, those kind of things, digital logic could be damaged by an EMP. And that's the E1 event that couples into everything, has potential to damage stuff. And then there's this E2 event, this medium frequency range event. That's kind of like a lightning event. It's really by itself not that dangerous because most of our systems already know how to handle a nearby lightning strike. Not a direct lightning strike, that's a whole different beast, right? But lightning hitting down, a half mile away and you get a big bzzz on your house wires, everything kind of generally knows how to tolerate that. On occasion you lose something, your TV goes out, but most of the time we survive it. Certainly cars can survive it. You can have a lightning strike hit the telephone pole beside your car and your car is still going to be able to go. Airplanes the same, right? Airplanes get hit by lightning directly. I've been in one that was hit by lightning, scary as all get out, but again, they keep going, right? They're robust enough for that kind of energy. And then there's this E3 event, this slowly building kind of thing, like a tide rising on the power lines that occur from an EMP as well. And that energy can flow down these long conductors that are distributed around the Earth. And that slow, low frequency energy is basically the same thing as a CME from the sun. That's what the CME does, is it generates this energy on these very long conductors. So one of the things I tell people is, if you want to distinguish between the two, they both can take out the power grid, right? That's unfortunate because that's the worst they're going to do anyway, but they both can do that. The difference is a CME really only does that. It only affects long, long conductors, things with miles and miles of wire. An EMP can affect just about everything. Small things, big things, it doesn't matter. And so they're different, and the way you prepare for them is slightly different as well. All right. But anyway, so that's kind of the distinction between the two and how they work.